What would you see as more difficult on these three images? Would you like to start with the drapery, foot of the man, or the man? Now the man's got more story to it, but you might not be interested in it. Would you like to start with the foot and then we go to foot?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Because the other group said the man. They all wanted the naked man, or half naked man. Okay, foot. Now, it's a lot easier to get to where we need to get to. You see that foot? First of all, to explain what's going on there. The person is possibly posing and is sitting, and that actual foot, it's resting on a straight platform. You see that? It's not being there, it's not being added there, but we know that because how do we know? Because it's flat here, it's on the floor, exactly. And we know that because we can see those. Yes, they're all at the same line, which basically means that it's on the flat floor. But also it's resting because it's doing like you will rest your hand like this, and it's not tense. It's not tense. This foot is not tense. And now look, to start with, now with an outline, you might say, okay, where do I go? But how about you do, look, you can draw here. How about you start something like this? Look, a general approach will be something like this. You see? It's like a very, very strange and abstract form, but it's based on what I see here. And now, with that very basic approach, now I can be a bit more technical here and be, look, you see that angle here, that angular shape on the heel, and as it moves down, then that will, which is the bone or the flesh part of the big toe, jumps in there, and then you have the big toe right down here, and the big toe, it's higher than this flat here on the small toes. It's much higher. So the big toe is here, and the small toes are lower. So what I'm saying, there's a distance between small, but there is a distance because that's important. If you put the big toe at the same line here, then it creates a different feel to it. It makes the big toe too long. But if you put it up a bit, then it puts it into the actual size that we need to look after. And then you have this one here. Look, this line, which is the flesh bit, before you go to the toes themselves. And this is a lot more, well, I've gone too bending with the line, but it's actually more of a straight line down there. And then you have that little line coming inside there, which is this one here. I'm simplifying them because they're not like that, but I'm trying to make it a lot more simple just to get our heads, what's going on, heads around us. And then you have that very, very dark shadow, which is the heel itself. And then it goes, look, it goes flat dark like this, look. And that's the heel. Now that is the light part, but not because it's a different skin tone or it's a light, it's because it's been lit by the camera or by the, sorry, not camera, the projector. You have the light coming from the left. Now how do we know? Because it's a lot brighter here. But then also that line, I've gone too strongly with that line. That's a very, very soft line because that is the strongest dark line, which is on that side because of the shadow, and that is a very soft line. Well, it's softer than what I did. And then you have the sheen which starts developing there. Look, there. And the lines of the foot, which is this part of the foot, or the skin, which takes and creates that folds to adapt with the foot itself. You have the shin coming up there, and you have the foot down here. So that's the form, the simplified version of the form, the very, very simple. But also not to forget, you have loads of darks or middle tones like this, look. And they all seem to come this way, from the right to the left. And now I have to be a bit more specific because I do have that skin tone coming right there and then going right to the big toe and here, and then getting the, again, sorry, that's the part of the big toe, still part of the big toe. You got the line here, which is the fleshy bit before you go to the big toe, and darker. And I'm starting now to add the toes themselves. That, which is the closest toe to the big toe, is also higher. You'll see it on the picture. When you get close, you'll see there's a very straight line down here, but then the closest toe to the big toe is also taking the same distance from the flat surface. We have small toes here, a bit more rounded, and then the smallest there. Actually, it's a bit more bendy than that there. And you can play around now with the charcoal and those dark. Get those folds of the flesh in there. A little bit darker here, a bit darker there, and darker on the
Sole of the heel.
sole itself.
Sole of the
Yes.
heel.
Sole of the heel, yes. And darker here, but as I'm moving towards the light, look, see, softly moving it that way, and soften that because that's not as strong. Although it's helpful that it's strong because it creates beautiful contrast, but it's not as strong. So instead of using the putty rubber, you use your fingers. That's more than enough. Okay, and soften all these middle tones that they are actually there with your fingers. And you have that flesh bit which is very, very bright here, there, and a little bit lighter here. Again, I'm running out of fingers. See, all my fingers now are dark because I'm using. It's a bit like putty rubber.
Come back again and
Yeah, yeah, you can wash it, but then you have to wait for it to dry. So I don't have that time. So another thing you can do before, if you slide that, look, stop using the putty rubber.
On your
Use-
fingers?
On your fingers, look, it takes the dust away.
Ah.
That's another technique we can use. It takes most of the dust away. So it's a bit like having clean fingers
Or
again.
a cloth would be handy.
Cloth would be very handy, correct? Yes. And again, now what I'm
That might be
please, thank you. What I'm doing here is I'm highlighting that line. Look, that line, there's no light here. But what I'm doing, if I'm highlighting the line here, I'm highlighting, look, before the end of the line where the foot ends, or the outline, I'm creating artificial light. Do you know what that does? Hello, Min.
Hello.
Have a sit. We're doing in the middle of a demo here. Have a sit, yeah. So that creates a bit more of a rounded form. It's rounded. That's why I'm leaving. Although I don't see that light there, but you don't have to do it. If it's not convincing to you, don't do it. But I think that helps. And you have
There's
that.
a line in the drawing there.
Yes, yes. Well, it's not that visible. It might be, but it's not that visible. What I'm doing it artificially. Okay, I'm doing that because I think that helps. So that line here. So I'm not going with that dark right up to the edge of the line, and I'm leaving it there. Yeah? And getting darks, darks here, darks. They create that fold here. And you see, it's a lot more effective if I leave. You see, if I leave that line there, it creates volume, creates roundness, and coming down here and being a little bit more specific with where the bone structure ends, softer with the lines, and a bit softer, or coming back with those half tones a bit closer to the light. But when they come closer to the light, they have to be really, really soft here. Look, and here. There. I think I've gone too dark there, but look, bear with me now, and then we get those highlights back. And now there's not much light onto the big toe, but I'm thinking if I use the big toe like this, look, if I do the big toe there, I can highlight it, and that helps the viewer to create more of a clear image what's going on. And then you have the light here, and then the light on 1, 2, 3. Keep an eye because you might end up with 4 or even 6 fingers, 6 toes. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, the last one is here. There. I know it's easy. It's very easy. You can get very much muddled up there. Now I've lost this charcoal here. Yeah, got it back. And then with these, because that's a longer charcoal, which is easier to get into very small spaces. What I need now to be a bit more consistent is that shadow here is dark. Goes dark like this. There. I think I've gone too thick on that. But I can, instead of getting or using putty rubber, I can do that. I can come and darken this sheen. And now, and yeah, look, oh, the foot goes there actually.
Yeah.
Look, goes right up there, shoots up there, look. Very clever, very, very beautiful. So, a bit thicker. So the foot didn't go the way I thought it went. I've just noticed it now. Goes there, there. See, that makes it even more impressive, the way it's been turned. And, sorry about that. And what I should do now, I want to keep those areas dark because these areas are going away. These are going away, far away. Well, moving out of our field of view, so they get darker or they might get a lot lighter, depending on what you choose to do. You don't even work on them, but you see what I mean? By darkening them, it gives the impression that it's moving away, and that's how you create perspective, that's how you create depth. And I can come back and light a few things. For instance, we know we have that bone, is that collarbone? No, that bone. Ankle bone, correct. That ankle bone is here, so don't lose sight of that because we are working on realism here, so we need to show what is actually happening. And I can darken that as well. I can come darker here, but not leave it dark, but darken is, look, like that, you see? And that defines even more the ankle bone, there. And again, getting dark here, dark on the heel as well, and a little bit less angular, there, less angular, there. And maybe I was going light there, but what if I come and do that very, 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 very dark, look like that? Why not? That's another way of doing it. Yeah? I've gone too dark there, but I like it because it's a very, it feels like a confident line. Might be a mistake, might be not the right way on the right place, but it feels confident. So it might work in the long term, or in aesthetically, it's more aesthetically pleasing, if you know what I mean. There you are. You see how it creates tension, basically. Because sometimes I'm lost for words. What it creates? Well, tension. What else can it create? Because obviously it's not the person. It's not John. It's not Maria. It's just a foot. But it's a foot. It's a healthy foot. It's in the meaning that it's not bony. It's well fed. But tension. That's what it creates. And here it's flat. So keep that area. Look, keep that. See how flat I'm keeping it. And you see, I'm not being a copier as such, and I'm not copying exactly what I'm saying. Partly because I can't. It's impossible to copy somebody else, because otherwise you'll be a forger, and I know it's a talent, but I'm not like that. I cannot do it. But partly it's because you don't even want to copy. You want to create something based on what you see, but create your own version of it. Huh? Like, as I said, I'm keeping that light area, look, light area, because around there, look. It's not there, but I think it's working. You see what I'm referring to? Look, it can come dark here, but I'm leaving that dark. It doesn't go to the line, this dark here, look. You see what I mean? That highlight here, and I think that works. It's a bit like you have a light coming from the left, but you have a reflected light coming from the right here on this spot. That doesn't mean you have to keep it as light as that. Look what I'm doing now. I'm exaggerating. Look, I'm going very, 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 very bright there. You see? I can leave it that way, but I'm showing a different foot. It's a foot which is being lit, both sides. Why not? I can leave it for the time being there. I might change my mind, but I think it's another way of doing it. Again, not copying what you see, but doing your own foot and just getting inspired by this amazing drawing here.
What's his name again?
His name is Stan Prokopenko. Stan,
Stan.
which I think is Stanislav. He's Ukrainian, born in the United States. He's amazing. This guy is just fantastic. Some of his videos on YouTube are. I wish they were available when I was 14.
Do you want to send us a link? To the
Yeah, Stan Prokopenko. He's all around YouTube. And that's his foot. That's his creation. But yeah, he's very, very, very good. And better of all, he's an amazing teacher. So there you go. And he's very young as well. Really young. So going back on our drawing, darker, darker. Now, two things I can do here. I'll show you. Wait, what? One, not two. I can leave it like this, or spray quickly. Min, I'll give that to you. Be patient, don't worry. You doing drawing today or painting? Oh yes, yeah, drawing. Fantastic. So look, without spray. Now why spray? Because I was feeling that the dark that I was putting, they were being rejected by the drawing. I was trying to put more darks and they were just falling off. So that means that you need to spray it and you have other darks. It's another layer. And then guess what? You can spray it again and other darks. You can spray it. It's unlimited. As long as the paper that handles the darks you're putting on, it's fine. You can spray it 10 times. Now I think it's dry. Well,
So you want us to do
Most-
a big foot today? Really
Well-
enlarge it so we can,
you can. Well, it's best to do it as large as that.
yeah, on the full size.
Sorry, Mark. They just because of the weather. And then look, I can handle now. I can put more darks to it because the paper, it's been sprayed, so it can handle a little bit more charcoal added to. There you are. There you are. Here. And the bone itself, the bone structure. And coming and doing that. There. How about this? It's not bad, I think. Not because it's mine, but yeah, it's right. What you can do here is basically doing the same here. Look, up here, you can do that shadow. Look, keep the shadow there, and then, look, spread it like this. You see what I mean? And still leave that highlight, leave that highlight there. Why? Because it creates volume. It's needed. Well, you say, well, it's not there. Well, yes, but also the darks that I'm putting, they're not there. They're a lot more transparent. They're more skillful darks here. I've just gone brute there. I've gone very, very dark. But again, I'm supporting my drawing into a different concept. I'm going
It makes the eye see different planes.
different
Yeah,
planes,
yeah.
and what this drawing is more of a drawing of a painter. That's what they say. When you don't put darks. When I was at school, art school, I'm saying that if by nature you will not put in too many darks, you're very wary of how dark the drawing is. Then say you are for the painting course, and if you were drawing like this, straight away to sculpting. That was the only way. Well, one of the ways. There are other ways, but not much more. They were seeing your drawing. If the drawing was with loads of darks, it's because you're after volume, after 3D effect, and that's sculpting. Because you're working on 3D constantly. You're working with clay. So that drawing is more like sculpting. If I say I was 14, I was in art school, and I draw like that, I would say you will be a lot more suited for the sculpting course. You might say, well, no, I like colors. We'll say, well, yes, but you can do the sculpting, but then when you finish, you can go do another school with colors. Yes. So yeah, it's. But you see, what I'm doing, I'm going again. I'm going deliberately very, very, very dark here, and then Why not? Huh? And how about we do that, which is not there? How about we do that? Huh? Shadow of the foot. Also, it creates distance, creates depth. And how about, you see, I'm letting you do whatever you like.
Yeah.
Just think of things. Look. How about I come here and I create even more volume by darkening the background. Look at that. Why not? You see what I'm referring to? That creates depth. It moves the foot. It creates background and foreground. Foreground is the foot, background is what we see at the back. You can play a little bit because it's a bit like an afterthought. You can make a little bit something. You can make something of the background. You can make, I don't know, say that was a background in color. You wouldn't leave it with blue only. You might add a bit of white. You might add a bit of. So this is what I'm thinking. Here, look. Oh, look at that. Why not movement? You see what I mean?
Yeah, like
Why not?
reflection
Still,
of
you don't
light
do
or
that.
something.
That's a dandelion seed.
See, artists, they go from. What there is moving at the moment. Okay. Huh? How about that? That's not bad.
That's good.
And coming back here onto our lights and emphasizing the toes a bit more. God damn it. Destroyed half the charcoal, it's just moved everywhere here. But anyhow, that's because we're creating powerful art, or so we think. Okay, I think it's time for you to,
Do a bit.
to get
Rest
your
of
own
it.
version
Rest
of
work.
the foot. And again, coming back and highlighting the toe, big toe, with this reflected light from the right as well as from the left. All right then. Record it.